Hi everybody, as you can see, so this is the most important MCQ series, and this is our sixth one. So this is the sixth series. So today I will discuss with you most important 70 MCQs from Anglo-Saxon period or Old English period. So let's begin. First question is, who were the earliest known inhabitants of Britain before Anglo-Saxons? So who were the earliest known inhabitants of Britain before the Anglo-Saxons? So it was Celts. So they were the earliest known inhabitants of Britain. Next question, which famous Roman figure invaded Britain in 43 AD, leading to the Roman occupation of the island? So which famous Roman figure did that? So it was Claudius. Option D is the correct answer. Now question number 3. What year marked the end of Roman rule? The end of Roman rule in Britain when Emperor Honorius withdrew Roman troops. So you have to mention the year in which year Emperor Honorius withdrew Roman troops from Britain. So it was in which year? 410 AD. It is option A. Okay, now next question. Who was the legendary Celtic leader? Who was the legendary Celtic leader who led the resistance against the Roman invasion of Britain in the 1st century AD? So who was the legendary Celtic leader who led the resistance against the Roman invasion of Britain in the 1st century AD? So it was by Boudicca. Boudicca was the Celtic legendary leader. Got it? Option A was the right answer. Now question number 5. Which Germanic tribe is believed to have begun the Anglo-Saxon migration to Britain around 5th century AD? So which Germanic tribe is believed to have begun the Anglo-Saxon migration to Britain around 5th century AD? So it was English or Angles or English, you can say. English was the Germanic tribe. Now next question. What was the name of the first Anglo-Saxon kingdom? What was the name of the first Anglo-Saxon kingdom established in Britain, with its capital was at Winchester? So what was the first Anglo-Saxon kingdom established in Britain? So it was Kent. So Kent was the first Anglo-Saxon kingdom and its capital was Winchester. Now question number 7. Which Anglo-Saxon king is traditionally credited with converting the kingdom of Kent to Christianity in 6th century, in late 6th century rather? So which Anglo-Saxon king is traditionally credited with converting the kingdom of Kent to Christianity in the 6th century? So it was Ethelbert. Option A is the correct answer. Ethelbert was the king who converted Kent to Christianity. Now question number 8. What significant event occurred in 597 AD when Saint Augustine arrived in Kent? So in the last question, earlier question, we talked about this conversion conversion from Kent to Christianity was done. So it was in 597. So obviously the answer is arrival of Christianity. Arrival of Christianity is the right answer. Okay, so this was the significant event that happened in 597 AD with the arrival of Saint Augustine and his companions. So with this, Christianism began in England. Now question number 9. Who was the first English Christian martyr? Who was the first Christian martyr? First English Christian martyr who was killed in 653 AD by the order of King Penda of Mercia. So he was murdered or he was killed in 653 AD. So he was the first English Christian martyr. Who was it? It was Saint Alban. Saint Alban was the option A, was the first English Christian to be martyred. Now question number 10. What was the name of the monastery? What was the name of the monastery founded by Saint Aidan in Northumbria in 637 AD? So what was the name of the monastery founded by Saint Aidan in Northumbria 637 AD and that became a center of learning and culture? It was Lindisfarne. Lindisfarne. Option A is the correct answer. Now question number 11. Which king of Mercia? Which king of Mercia is often credited with establishing one of the largest Anglo-Saxon kingdoms? One of the largest Anglo-Saxon kingdoms was credited. Which king of Mercia is credited with establishing one of the largest Anglo-Saxon kingdoms and a golden age of culture and scholarship? It was by Oppa. Oppa was the king of Mercia. It was the option A. That is the correct answer. Now, next question. What was the name of the Viking king? What was the name of the Viking king who invaded and conquered Anglo-Saxon kingdom of Northumbria in 867 AD? So, who was the Viking king to conquer Anglo-Saxon kingdom of Northumbria? So, it was Ivar the Boneless. It is your option C. It is the correct answer. Now, question number 13. Who was the first Anglo-Saxon king to be crowned as the King of England in 924 AD? So, who was the first Anglo-Saxon king to be crowned as the King of England in 924 AD? So, it was Athelstan, not Athelbert. It was Athelstan. Athelstan was the first king of England and he was hailed as king in 924 AD and he was the first Anglo-Saxon king to be named as the first king of England. Now come to the question number 14. What important event in 1066 AD occurred? Okay, 1066 is a famous year in English literature and resulting it in Norman conquest of England. So this battle is named as, obviously, of course, option B, Battle of Hastings. Now your question number 15. Which famous Anglo-Saxon poem? Which famous Anglo-Saxon poem recounts the heroic deeds of Beowulf? Beowulf is a Geatish hero who battles monsters, Grendels, and also later on with a dragon. So obviously the eponymous name Beowulf is also the name of the epic. That was the Anglo-Saxon famous epic poem Beowulf, isn't it? Featuring Beowulf as the central character. Now question number 16. What was the primary written language? What was the primary written language used by Anglo-Saxons for literary and religious purposes? So for religious purposes and literary purposes, which language was used by Anglo-Saxons? So it was Old English, as we can say, Old English. Now, question number 17. Who was the Anglo-Saxon king who established the Danelaw? What is Danelaw? Danelaw is a region in England under the Viking control during the 9th century. So who was the Anglo-Saxon king who established Danelaw? Danelaw. So it was Alfred the Great. Alfred the Great. Now question number 18. What was the name of the fortified bars built by Alfred the Great as defensive structures against the invasion of the Vikings? So it was bars, or it is already mentioned fortified bars. So it was bars. The name of the fortified bars is also called bars. Now, which Anglo-Saxon king is known for his legal code which aimed to promote justice? So which Anglo-Saxon king is known for his legal code which aimed to promote justice and maintain order in his kingdom? So it was Oppa. He did this. Oppa. Okay. Now question number 20. What was the name of the treaty signed in 886 AD? So what was the name of the treaty signed in 886 between Alfred the Great and the Viking leader Guthrum, dividing England into Anglo-Saxon and Viking territories? So what was the name of the treaty? It is called Treaty of Wedmore. Treaty of Wedmore. This is very, very important, my dear friends. Now come to question number 21. Who was the Anglo-Saxon king? Who was the Anglo-Saxon king known for his resistance against the Danish invasions and for uniting Anglo-Saxon kingdom into a single England? So who was the Anglo-Saxon king doing this resistance against this Danish? It was, of course, Alfred the Great. Alfred the Great. Now, question number 22. What was the name of the battle that occurred in 878 AD, where Alfred the Great defeated Viking army of Guthrum, securing Wessex from Viking rule? So what was the name of that battle? I know you are well aware about this battle, and this battle is known as the Battle of Edington. The Battle of Edington. Okay, option B is the right answer. Now, who was the last Anglo-Saxon king of England who died at the Battle of Hastings in 1066 AD? So who was the last Anglo-Saxon king of England? So it was none other than Harold Godwinson. Harold Godwinson. Now, next question. What was the name of the system of land tenure system introduced by Anglo-Saxon kings? So what was the name of the system of land tenure introduced by Anglo-Saxon kings, where land was granted in return for military service? So this type of system or land tenure, it's called feudalism. Called what? Feudalism. Now, question number 25. Which Anglo-Saxon king is credited with commissioning the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, a historical record of Anglo-Saxon England? This is very, very much important one. So Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, as you are well aware about this was done by Alfred the Great. Option A is the right answer. Question number 26. What was the name of the Viking king who ruled over England from 1016 to 1035 and also becoming the first Danish king of England? So he was the first Danish king of England, and that is called, and he was one of the Viking. Okay, so your answer is obviously not the Great. Not the Great. Now, question number 27. Which Anglo-Saxon king is known for his defeat at the Battle of Hastings? I have already mentioned. This question is repeated again, leading to Norman conquest. So here, of course, it was Harold Godwinson. So keep it aside. Now, question number 28. What was the name of the church reform movement? So there was a reform movement, church reform movement in the 10th and 11th centuries that sought to standardize religious practice in England. So what was the name of the church reform? And it is called, obviously, Georgian reform. Option A is the correct answer. Now, question number 29. Who was the first Anglo-Saxon king? Who was the first Anglo-Saxon king to be canonized as a saint for his role in spreading Christianity in England? So you have to name the person, name the name of the Anglo-Saxon king who canonized as a saint for his role in spreading Christianity in England. So it was Edmund the Martyr. Option D was the right answer. Now come to the question number 30. Which Viking leader is traditionally credited with leading the first major Viking raid on the monastery at Lindisfarne in 793 AD? So which Viking leader traditionally credited leading this first major Viking raid on the monastery of Lindisfarne in 793 AD? So it was Ragnar Lothbrok or Ragnar Lothbrok. Now come to question number 31. Okay, who is often credited as the author of Anglo-Saxon epic poem? Who is the author of Anglo-Saxon epic Beowulf? As you know, Beowulf is an epic of anonymous authorship, that is unknown. Option D is the correct answer. The Anglo-Saxon period in English literature or in England roughly spans from, obviously, option B, isn't it? This is a very basic question, 410 to 1066. Now come to question number 33. The Anglo-Saxons arrived in England from which region? So from which region Anglo-Saxons arrived in England? Obviously, this answer is Scandinavia. So Anglo-Saxons arrived in England from which region? Scandinavia. Do not confuse with German. Okay, now 34. What is the name of the Old English epic poem that tells the story of the hero of Sigismund? So Sigismund was the hero in one of its battle, and that was described in an Old English epic poem. So you have to name the epic, or you have to name the poem. So it was the Battle of Maldon. So in Battle of Maldon, we have found the name of Sigismund. Okay, now question number 35. Who was the first English historian and scholar known for his work Ecclesiastical History of the English People? This is also another most important question. Obviously, it was Bede or Bate. Okay, now come to question number 36. The Anglo-Saxon poem The Seafarer, it's primarily about. So as you know, Seafarer is another impressive poem. So you have to mention what is the theme or about which typical story the topic or the poem The Seafarer is dealing with. So it was about a sailor's longing for the sea, a sailor's longing, deep desire for the sea. Now question number 37. What form of poetry is characterized by alliteration and a specific meter in Old English literature? So what form of poetry is characterized by alliteration and a specific meter in Old English period? Obviously, at that time it was called sonnet. A different kind of sonnet was. Now 38. The Exeter book. So this was an important manuscript containing which among the poems, and there should be one, so you have to mention which is contained in Exeter book. So obviously it was Old English riddles and poems. So this was the thing, or these are the things that was contained in Exeter book. Okay, now come to question number 39. What is the name of the language spoken by the Anglo-Saxons? So Anglo-Saxons spoke which kind of language? I have already mentioned they written in Old English, and they also spoken, or they spoke in Old English. Now, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle is, as I have already mentioned, who did this great job? Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, who took the initiative rather. So it was Alfred the Great. Now your question is, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle is about what kind of thing? Actually, it is a record of historical events in England. Your option C is the correct answer. Now question number 41. Which Anglo-Saxon king is associated with the promotion of education and literature, particularly during his reign in the late 19th century? So it was none other than Alfred the Great. Now next question. The term wealth in Anglo-Saxon literature refers to. So what is the meaning of wealth as we have found in Anglo-Saxon time or Anglo-Saxon literature? So it is called fate or destiny. It is called your fate or destiny. Now come to question number 43. So who is the protagonist of the Old English poem The Battle of Maldon? Okay, so which recounts a historical event. So who is the protagonist? So this question is a very tricky question, as I have already mentioned that there was a hero who is very much famous in the Old English epic named The Battle of Maldon. It was Sigemund, but the hero or the protagonist is of course Beathnoth. Okay, now question number 44. What is the primary subject matter of the Old English or Anglo-Saxon poem Whitseed? What is the central theme or the primary subject matter of the poem Anglo-Saxon poem Whitseed? Obviously it is a gathering place. No, that is called the life of a wandering poet, isn't it? The life of a wandering poet. Now question number 45. The term mead hall in Anglo-Saxon literature refers to what? You have the options, and the right answer is obviously it was a kind of, mead hall is a kind of a gathering place for warriors and nobles. So here the warriors and nobles stay at the. Question number 46. Who is the author of The Wanderer? And as you know, Wanderer is an Old English epic poem, and it reflects the theme of exile and loss. So who has written it? The Wanderer. Okay, so as you know, Wanderer, of course, in Old English poetry, in Old English literature, most of the poems are of unknown authorship. So it was a poem of an unknown authorship. Okay, now come to question number 47. What is the Old English term? What is the Old English term for a poem with a moral lesson or a religious theme? So these kind of themes are dealing with such like moral lesson is provided or religious theme is given. So what kind of term is related in Old English age? And it was not elegy, it was not any other thing, rather it is called gnomic, Gnomic. Now question number 48. The Anglo-Saxon poem The Dream of the Root, this is also an important one. The Dream of the Root, it's notable, is very much famous for its what? So obviously it is for Christian imagery. Option B is the correct answer. Which Anglo-Saxon king is known for his defeat at the Battle of Hastings? So this question is, once again I repeat it, it was Harold Godwin. Now, what literary device is commonly used in Anglo-Saxon poetry involving the repetition of initial consonant sounds, and I think you all can give the answer. That is called alliteration. That is called alliteration. Now, question number 51. What is the significance of the Sutton Hoo burial site in Anglo-Saxon history? So, what is the significance of Sutton Hoo burial site in Anglo-Saxon history? So, it provides a kind of insights, okay, into Anglo-Saxon culture and craftsmanship. So, this is your option B. That will be the correct answer. Now, what is the Old English term? So, you have to mention the Old English term for a warrior code of conduct emphasizing loyalty, his bravery, and his honor. So, what kind of term that can be applied for such kind of warrior? And that is obviously comitatus. Comitatus. Now, question number 53. Which Anglo-Saxon king is known for its translation of religious text into Old English, including parts of the Bible too? So, which Anglo-Saxon king did it? So, as you know, Alfred the Great, and he was the only known and most prominent king, I think, according to me. Now, for question number 54, we have, what is the Old English term? What is the Old English term for a metaphysical, or rather metaphorical expression used in Anglo-Saxon poetry? So, what is the term used as a metaphorical expression used in Anglo-Saxon poetry? And it is called kenning. What is called? It is called kenning. Now, next, what is the genre of Old English poem The Wife's Lament? Obviously, it is an elegiac poetry. Now, what is the name of the Anglo-Saxon warrior who seeks revenge for the death of his lord in the poem The Wanderer? So, what is the name of the Anglo-Saxon warrior? So, you have to name the warrior who seeks revenge for the death of his lord in the poem The Wanderer. It was obviously, was that? Who is it? Wiglaf, Beowulf, Brythnoth, Ulston. It was Brythnoth. Now, which Old English poem is a lament for the loss of a lord and the dissolution of a kingdom? I have already mentioned, that is The Wanderer. Now, what literary device is commonly found in Old English riddles? It is obviously kenning. No, sorry, alteration, assonance, metaphor, and what is there? Simile. Obviously, alliteration. Now, 59. What is the Old English term for the poetic device used in Beowulf where two halves of a line are linked by alliteration? Okay, it is called kenning. Okay, two halves of a line are linked by alliteration. Now, next, the Old English poem The Battle of Brunanbar commemorates a victory by which Anglo-Saxon king? And it was none other than Athelstan. Okay, now your 60, question number 60. Oh, it is repeated, yeah. Next, 61. Who is the author of the Old English poem, very important one, Ulf and Idawaka, which explored the themes of love and separation? So, as you know, it was none other by an unknown poet. So, it was by an unknown poet. Now, next question. The Anglo-Saxon poem Battle of Mildon commemorates a battle between Anglo-Saxon warrior and with whom? And the Danes. Now, next question. What is the name of the Old English poem that tells the story of a heroic figure who battles a dragon to protect his people? Obviously, it is none other than Beowulf. The second section was dealing with the fight with dragon. Now, what is the Old English term for a ship burial mount? What is the Old English term for a ship burial mode often associated with Anglo-Saxon kings and warriors? So, it is Sutton Hoo. Now, who is the author of the Old English poem The Ruin, which describes the remains of once glorious city? So, who wrote it? It was written by Cineulf or Kineulf, you can say, whatever may be the pronunciation. Now, question number 66. The Anglo-Saxon poem Wanderer reflects on, so this poem is reflecting on the themes of what? It was about the exilement and loss. Exilement and loss. Question number 67. What is the primary theme of Old English poem Battle of Maldon? The theme of Battle of Maldon is about keeping in the loyalty and honor. Now, question number 68. Which Old English poem features a dialogue between a husband and wife? They both are separated by exilement and longing for each other. So, which poem is dealing with such kind of theme? And that is the Wife's Lament. So, there are two poems, the Wife's Lament and Husband's poem Lament. So, these are the same. Now, question 69. Worm is a term that was used in Old English literature, and it refers to a mythical creature, often a dragon, Now, next question. What is the name of the Old English poem that celebrates the victory of King Alfred the Great over Vikings? So, it is obviously the Battle of Brunanburh. So, I have found these 70 questions or these 70 questions most important. So, it is up to you. So, if you have or if I have missed any question which is according to you most important, please comment on the comment. I will see, and it will be beneficial for others. So, hopefully it will work for you. Thanks for watching.